need to take two seconds of your time to tell you how much I'm gonna flame this on the Take Two's next podcast, okay? You're not even ready. Movie fight? More like movie fight tonight. I'm literally kebab. I'm gonna put a wooden stick up his butt and flame him over an open fire. Somebody is going to die.
What?
The first question is, what is the best Disney animated villain? So, Walker, I'm going to say you're the newbie here. You're going to go first. So what's your answer real quick?
My best animated Disney villain would be Man from Bambi.
Okay. Joe?
I saw that. Okay, mine is, I think the best, Scar.
Scar. Okay, Scar versus Man. Okay, Walker, your time starts when you begin talking.
Okay, so Bambi is a film about a young doe in the woods growing up with her mother. While this villain isn't physically animated, this is for the better, and in my opinion, an incredible design, like an incredibly creative design option. All we see from Man throughout the entire movie is his destruction, aka gunshot debris flying after each shot, which is more relevant today, today, than it ever has been. This adds a layer of ambiguity, putting us within the same position as the animals, as they don't ever see the hunters coming. For once, we are the animals and feel the fear the animals do. This stays true to the novel, as the novel only ever shows a hand or a shadow of the menacing force of man. We don't often see villains do a lot of real damage within films. Their threat is more implied. But these hunters kill birds and other animals as we see these animals fall to the ground, dropping dead. The threat presented is actually real, not like any other crappy Disney villain. Because we are in the same position as the animals, to us, Man has no reason to be killing them. They are forced without a motive, and therefore there is no reasoning with this force. All you can do is run, which makes them all the more terrifying. And in my opinion, Man is an undersung villain within the Disney universe. Not a lot of people talk about him. Because he doesn't take a physical form, you can't put a face on a villain as real and truly terrifying as us. That is all.
Jordan Peele.
Okay. Joe? Scar. How's he better?
For starters, I went back and forth between a couple, but I think Scar is the best for multiple reasons here. So, first of all, he's straight up terrifying. His voice, Jeremy Irons did that voice work, impressive voice work. Secondly, he's a murderer, so he's kind of like Man in that way. And three, he does this all through manipulation tactics and his brain. So my main point here is he instills fear into the hero. He murders Mufasa, establishing that he will betray his own family to get what he wants. And by doing this, he tries to put the blame on Simba for his father's death, which is not at all right, but, he wants what he wants. And also, he's one of the rare villains in the Disney animated universe, I would say, that is effective. He accomplishes what he set out to do. He rules as king, and it's total dominion. That's his thing. And so his motivations are also clear. Because you can see, a lot of these villains aren't very complex in Disney. Maybe, Man, we'll get to that. But so also, he was the outcast as a kid. Think about it. You've got that sibling who overshadows you. That's Mufasa. And then also there's that subplot. I don't know if it's in the live action or in the animated, but Simba's mom actually was a thing with Scar, and then she ended up choosing Mufasa over him. So in a way, it's one of those things where you can relate to him, kind of, not that what he did was right, but you can see where he was coming from. And that makes him, I think, more, because you can relate to him. Not that you can't relate to Man, but in a way, I don't know, having someone there the whole time to relate to is interesting for a villain too, because normally you want to hate the villain, but you can see where Scar comes from by that, and that's why I think he's the best.
Okay, 2 minutes. We'll start one. Walker starts talking. I'll give you a first tip since you went first. Argue why, why is Man bad and why is Scar not the best or anything. So yeah, go ahead.
I have a question, Joe.
Yeah.
Is Scar really anything without his henchmen? Because he really doesn't do anything the entire film. All you ever really see him do is kill Mufasa, and then his hyenas kind of do the rest of the work for him. He's more like a mob boss, whereas Man is this big destructive force that you don't really ever stand a chance against. As an animal, like, you have no fighting chance. All you can do is run. So I'm wondering, like, what physical...
He didn't do anything physical, but it was all his brain and manipulation. It goes to show you how smart he was. Also, sometimes you just want a showy villain who's there, like, who can terrify you the entire time. Man only shows up for one part, kills Bambi's mom for the most part.
But he doesn't even show up. That's the
thing.
That's what I was talking about earlier. Like, you don't show Man because Man is this, like, ambiguous force. Like, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like the threat isn't as effective as actually showing and doing. In Bambi, they kill multiple animals, and you see them falling to the ground, like, throughout, like, whenever the hunters start to, like, kind of take on this like, horde of animals. And it's terrifying because, like, all these characters that you love, like, are just dying in front of you.
Yeah.
While we do see Mufasa die, I would argue that this act of violence of Man against the animals will always be far more effective than Scar trying to use, like, cunning and, like, just brain tactics.
And going back to how I was as a kid, I mean, I was never scared by Bambi. I was absolutely scared by Scar. He is 100% terrifying the entire time he's on the screen, through that voice and everything. And plus, Man, like, as much, it's real life. Like, it's, in a way, villains, you want them to be good. And, like, for example, Scar, you normally don't see that in real life, which is what makes him so scary. Like, hunting happens all the time.
You normally don't see a lion talking in real life, Joe.
Okay, to be fair, yes. But hunting happens all the time. People kill deer all the time. Like, yes, we're in the animals. And I like how you said, I mean, I get why you said that, but.
Okay, I think I'm going to go first here. I'm going to go with Walker on this one.
Yep.
With the Man, I think, him, I like the point where he's like, we're not usually in this side of that dynamic, So, yeah, I think that one's the better villain. I can't really explain why. I just thought his points were better. So, go ahead.
Both excellent villains. I can definitely agree with Joe here that Scar scared the shit out of me growing up. Like, he was terrifying. He was, and he created one of the most brutal death scenes in Disney history. And, like, that's something, like, you remember, just, like, watching Mufasa fall onto the wildebeest, right? Wildebeest? Yeah. That sucks. That's something you don't want to see as a 5-year-old, but hey, Disney did it. And I also think that Scar is a really good villain because of his manipulation tactics. But just that you don't see Man, that's what gets to you. Like how, that's one of the reasons I love horror movies when they don't use, like, a figure and they don't use something that's actually there, because it makes you think. And I like the psychological factor behind Man. I'm going to go with Hugh Walker.
Okay, not that my vote counts for anything.
Sorry, Spencer.
But I will be going with Walker as well. I thought your point about the minions, like, Scar uses a lot of minions here. Like, it's like, okay, well, here's your, like, he gets Mufasa, but a lot of his others, delegated. And Man is solo, and he's very destructive. So I went with you there.
I can see it. Yeah, that was a good take.
Yeah, I didn't expect anyone to pick that, so I like that take a lot. So, yeah, 1-0.
We suck as humans.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. When you said Scar, I got kind of, like, nervous. It's like, ah.
Yeah.
1-0 to Walker. Okay, question 2. Who is the best director of all time? I'm gonna say, yeah, that's what it is. All time, right? Okay. Yeah, this one goes to Joe first.
Okay. After thinking long.
Let's just say, like, the directors first, and then we'll.
Okay. Quentin Tarantino.
Okay, Walker.
Alex Garland.
Ooh.
One of you guys should have chose yourself. Like, you should have chose Joe to make Joe talk about how. Yeah.
That guy sucks.
So yeah, Joe, you're first with Tarantino.
Okay, so I went back and forth between a couple. It just came down to Tarantino, personal preference, but there's multiple reasons why I think he is the best now, and maybe even we could argue back ways. He is thoroughly original. He never does the same thing twice. You see that with each of his movies, and each one has a unique style. They have overlapping elements of style, but unique style in each one. And to go with this unique style, first of all, his dialogue. I think maybe the best dialogue I've ever seen. I'm just gonna say it. Also, his signature gore and violence, stylized gore and violence, over the top, and that, like, knowing that when I go to a movie like a Quentin Tarantino movie, I expect that. I'm like, when's the big bloodbath gonna happen? So, and then also he's uncensored. He is very much, in a way, like a lot of people have compared Lair, like the many F words, but like he doesn't hold back, and I appreciate that. Also, he is established, in a way, the trunk shot, the low shot. We got it in Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction. Inglourious Bastards is just a low shot, but that's kind of become one of his signature things in his movies. Also, another point, I know this doesn't tie into directing. It does, though, I would argue. He's a screenwriter, too. He writes his own movies, which I think makes a better rounded director. If you write it and visualize it while you're writing it, I think it adds to it. And he made unconventional and nonlinear storylines popular and mainstream. With Pulp Fiction, I mean, everybody's heard of Pulp Fiction. That started the craze. Oh my God, it's all connected, and how it like wraps from the beginning to the end. And how he started to do some alternate history things with Inglourious and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Really appreciate it, because when you go into those movies, you don't expect that to be that way. And plus his background, he never went to college. He taught himself filmmaking while working at a video store in LA, watching a bunch of movies he likes. He's like, I want to make movies. He did it. He got in with Reservoir Dogs, and the rest is history.
Walker, Alex Garland.
Okay, so my best director pick was Alex Garland. I really kind of like struggled to pick one between Alex Garland and Ari Aster, but I went with Alex Garland because he's been around longer, and I feel like he's just kind of found his niche in the filmmaking world. So I find Alex Garland to be the best director because he's always creating films that don't remind you of anything else you've ever seen. Two films that I believe are the best examples of this are my favorite film as of right now, Ex Machina and Annihilation. Both of these films haven't garnered much attention, but I don't think attention is what makes a great director, because Stanley Kubrick's The Shining flopped really hard upon initial release, but now it's one of the most celebrated films of all time. These stories present visuals you had no idea you wanted, but once you see them, you don't want to turn away. If you've seen the ending of Annihilation, Natalie Portman with the Moore figure is absolutely stunning, and by far one of the most beautiful pieces of cinematic art I feel like I've ever seen. He isn't afraid to take on new and interesting stories rather than regurgitating the same action scene or superhero fight or a Western-themed movie. His films have you thinking for days on end, and that's really what I think a lot of people look for in a movie, and even in a great director. Like, am I going to walk out of the theater and actually, be able to digest this for a couple days or even weeks? Best directors should be able to tell a story unlike any other you've seen before, presenting new concepts without having to hold your hand, and still be able to surprise you overall. Working with, in my opinion, some of the best score writers to date, because I've loved every single score in all the Alex Garland films that I have seen. He has a vision to craft outstanding visual effects, even winning an Oscar for Best Visual Effects for Ex Machina in 2016. He's working with talented people and giving them the spotlight, and giving these bizarre stories spotlight that people don't know they want yet. Just because something is popular doesn't make it the best.
That was a really good ending line right there, right at the buzzer. Okay, 2 minutes. Start when Joe starts talking. Argue it out.
Okay, so I haven't seen any of Alex Garland's films, I don't think. All I've got to say is Tarantino has a 9-film, in a way, it's just a collection of absolutely different takes on each one. And they're all different visually, in terms of script, in terms of directing, everything. They're so different. Each one, even if there are weaker points, they're all phenomenal in their own right. It's because when people compare them to the other. I don't know much about the others. I just know Tarantino has the praise. He built himself from nothing. I mean,
Quite the amazing feat, wouldn't you say, Joe? For Quentin Tarantino. I had a question for you. So you said Quentin Tarantino is very uncensored. So would you say that because there are a lot of F-bombs and lots of vulgarity within the films, that makes the films inherently better? Or like
No.
what? Okay.
no, it's just in terms of like style. It's just something that I look for and I like. It's more of in terms of him being the best director. It's because of his visual style. It's because of his screenwriting abilities and anything. Yeah.
Do you feel like you've seen anything like this anywhere else? Because I feel like, you can't say this for all Quentin Tarantino films, but I feel like you can look at a Quentin Tarantino film and you can say, oh, this reminds me of this movie I've seen. Like when I think of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think of like any other Western, just because it's got like, it's not a Western, but it's got that same like grit color feel. Whereas
Yeah.
when I see an Alex Garland film, I see Ex Machina,
different.
it doesn't remind me of anything
Well-
else. And that's like, I go to that because it's that special to me.
You could argue in a fact he takes something old, makes it better, reinvents it.
Kind of like refurbishing or reinventing.
You could say that, but in a way, it's more of a reinvention. He makes it better, I would argue.
But I feel like when you go to
Each
the
time.
movies, you want to go for something new. You don't want to.
And each one is new.
You don't take a hamburger and dust it off and then put it
Back
back
with the
on.
hamburger.
Back with the hamburgers. You don't put it and like dust it off, put it back on the counter. You serve up new ice cream.
Okay.
Hamburger ice cream.
This is tough. I am shocked none of you guys picked Steven Spielberg or like Christopher Nolan. I don't know. The Alex Garland pick, that is, I did not expect anyone to pick him at all.
I knew you were going to pick something a little more obscure.
Yeah.
I knew.
Yeah, or
That would've been a
Kubrick
good
would have
pick,
been
yeah.
good, or so. This one is really close again. I like the points of that Alex Garland. Nothing has been done like him before, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Joe just because his original screenplays and then the dialogue. It's something that we've never seen, and like at the same time, his are like how yours are with the never seen before. The dialogue in Tarantino's films. And I think it does add something to it that he does write and direct his films, which I know it's just best movie director, but I think that goes into it as well. So I'm going to go with Joe on this one.
So both of you guys made some really strong points. Both of you guys set it up really well. You made strong opening arguments, and I think that's the key to doing well in this is establishing points to go off of. Walker, you started off, both of you guys had original, which is unique to both of these directors and a nod to both of them, really. You showed that dialogue was very important. You showed that visuals. A lot of the things you said mirrored each other, which is a big, props to the director, pun intended.
These puns.
Joe, the more swearing makes it better argument, I think, Walker, that was one of the strongest, questions I've ever felt. I felt it in my bones. I felt it
I never
in my...
said him any better.
No, I know.
He didn't say
I know.
Oh.
But it just, the question itself was shocking. I wasn't expecting it. You also said that movies feel similar to others. But I'm going to side with Joe.
I was worried.
I think that the non-linear and alternate history, you saying it popularized it, really makes a difference because he impacted the overall shape of Hollywood because of that. So I'm going with Joe.
Thank you for making that decision for me. That was a tough one. I probably would have gone with Walker. Just you sold me on the visuals. I have not seen Alex Garland's films, but just the way you describe them, it just sold me. It did.
You need to watch Ex Machina.
Can I?
How many-
tell you-
how many
What
can
are
I-
his other? Yeah.
So Sunshine is his other big one. It's
Okay.
I think it's probably his other most well known because it shifts genre halfway, kind of like Parasite. So if you like
Okay.
Parasite, I would definitely check out Sunshine. 28 Days Later. I think he also did 28
I've heard
Weeks.
of it, yeah.
But yeah,
He's relatively new, isn't he? I mean, he's been around for a little bit, but
since the early 2000s.
yeah, he's not as big of a name as Tarantino, obviously. So.
Can I confess something here? For years, I called it Ex Machina.
Machina.
Zach told me probably about 6 months ago that it was
It's
Machina.
Ex Machina.
Yeah. I still call it Ex
Rip.
Machina. I prefer Ex Machina.
That's the better movie.
Just driving the deck.
Okay, guys, we're back to Walker here going first. 1-1. What is the best movie cinematography?
My pick for best cinematography was The Lighthouse.
Ooh, I can. Okay.
Okay, Joe?
My pick is 1917.
Okay. Walker, you go first.
Okay. So The Lighthouse. And I'm picking The Lighthouse not just because the 1:1 aspect ratio is interesting, although this does allow for symmetry. There's superb experimentation with foreground and background placement. It's very satisfying to watch. There's not a dull shot in this entire movie. Shots are often, and most often, symmetrical. The lenses used focus upon the pores and wrinkles of the two leads, which is very important for the story, and adds a far more gritty texture to the world. Even using red and ultraviolet lights to highlight the blemishes on their face, to highlight making the actors look like salty, weathered sea dogs. The camera work allows us to feel the work that Robert Pattinson is required to complete, with pulls to add weight and a focus on the fire when Robert Pattinson shovels coal and helps us feel the heat with him. Ultimately, this leads us to be exhausted and on Robert Pattinson's side. The lenses used are period accurate from 1905 for accuracy. The lighting setup for each scene is immaculate, which I believe plays into the aspect ratio. Being in black and white, the lighting often doesn't reach both corners of the screen, so the darkness blends beyond the aspect ratio, making the world look much larger and more nightmarish, so it's almost as if it's not always in that 1:1. There were many rigs created to set up slow pulling shots, such as the rising and falling inside the lighthouse. And there was a really masterful blend of movement and stillness within the shots, particularly with the weather. We see lots of movement within the shots with Robert Pattinson just as a character as he explores this new world. But when we see waves crashing against the elements, like against the rocks, the movement there is within the waves, so the camera doesn't move. It pulls its own force on its own. And that is it.
Okay, Joe. 1917.
Okay, so I've seen The Lighthouse. Great movie. For my choice, I went with something that I don't think we've ever seen before. I've never seen a war movie like 1917. And so, obviously, cinematography goes into camera placement, movement, shot composition, shot size, focus, and lighting. And 1917 has one of the greatest living cinematographers alive, Roger Deakins. And most people like hype it up for the one shot, but that's not all to the cinematography. But first off, obviously, the one shot. And most people assume this is all editing, but it's a combo. So required for the cinematography, it required Deakins to do a lot of choreography and with the camera movement, because obviously when you're moving it, you got to figure out where it will line up perfectly for the next shot, because eventually you do have to cut it. They could have done it in one take, but they didn't want to have to do that. And then it also could make the dialogue scenes challenging, because what they strove to do was have the camera follow the characters. And so for the dialogue scene, it was rough because you couldn't see everyone's faces when it's continuous like that. But I think they did a great job of that by highlighting, having Colin Firth on the other side and the other guy, just so you could see like we've already seen the characters there, but we haven't seen them. But the main part that sold this movie for me was the village scene. He goes into the burned French village after waking up. Well, he got hit in the head. And that's some of the best cinematography I've ever seen, I'm going to be honest. And they did it mostly with practical sets and a little bit of CGI, but mostly practical. They started out, Roger Deakins built a scale model with LED lights to get that right, to get everything looking great. And it looked phenomenal. I mean, the shadows they played with, the lighting of the fire and the lighting of the sky was so impressive for me. And the running and battle scene is the thing from the trailer, of course, but they accomplished that by having a camera on a gyroscopic head, which allows it to move in all directions, on a motorcycle. And I love how they expanded that gradually as they were coming back to see more of the battle and to show the magnitude of the battle. And all of that was pretty much practical effects. On the sides, there was a little bit of CGI. For the most part, though, 1917 is something we haven't seen before.
Okay. Two really good, strong opening arguments. Tell me why the other ones aren't as good.
Okay, so well, you say 1917's never, like, there's not ever been a movie like it before. I can't remember the name of it, but there was a horror movie that was acclaimed to be shot in one take inside this house.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but I'm sure like anybody can look it up.
I wasn't talking about the one take. Well, specifically for the war genre I was talking about.
Can I ask you this? Is the story, the way the story's set up, is it special at all, or do you think that it's just marketed to be like, oh, it's one take, so like
That-
we have to go see this film.
That's what I was sold at initially. The story resonated with me, though. It starts exactly where it ended up, him in front of the tree, and the whole loss of his partner, I don't remember his name, but that whole loss really drove Schofield, and then having to go back to the camp and tell his brother that he didn't make it.
What do you think they did with the color palette? Do you think there was a lot of like intrusive work with the color palette and the lenses to like make sure that each shot was the best it could possibly be? Because in my opinion, I think 1917 really suffers from not taking its time. I feel like it just kind of rushes itself along. I mean, yeah, the idea of being
the
one
point
take is really
to
cool.
Follow them, so.
However, it's not. I think it suffers from like the own thing it's like trying to do. Like you could take your time because like we saw with Dunkirk. Dunkirk is an amazing movie. However, like
I just think the Lighthouse, it did have some cool stuff in there. We've seen that before. I know you like the square aspect ratio diagnostic, but I think 1917, it's just something at least I had never seen before in a war movie, because I don't like war movies generally. But that movie sold me the story and the combination of the cinematography. Roger Deakins is a legend. Finally won after being nominated, the most nominated cinematographer of all time. I don't know. It's just,
you can claim best cinematographer, but you can't claim best cinematography on that film. He may have won awards for other films, but
he won for that one too.
which I mean, in my opinion, was kind of bullcrap. Again, like I said,
Okay, this one's tough, really, because a lot of you guys are using words that I don't use.
There's a lot of big words flying around
And-
this studio, and it's a lot.
I think I'm leaning towards Walker because how he was saying, it's accurate to the time, and they do certain things where some of the screen, like the lighting and whatever, I love that aspect of that movie. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Walker's slight edge.
Do you want to go right ahead?
Okay. This really came down to the argument for me. Both of you guys set it up really well, but I'm going with Walker. I think the downfall, Joe, is you kind of went into why it was a good story instead of focusing purely on the cinematography. I wanted to hear more, Walker, when you were describing the movie. You made sure you're talking about the lighting of it. And you did that as well, especially the village scene. And that was really difficult because I thought the village scene was one of the best scenes of last year for sure. So, but yeah, I'm going to give a slight edge to Walker.
Again, thank you for making that decision for me. I appreciate it as always. I would have gone with Walker as well.
Okay, 2-1 Walker. So this one's back to Joe.
Okay.
Question 4. What is the most overrated movie?
Joe.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Ooh.
I feel like this is going to be a hot take on this round here.
A Quiet Place.
Oh.
That's like blasphemous, I feel like.
Okay. Joe, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay, to start off, Bohemian Rhapsody may be entertaining, but it did not deserve all the hype. And when you talk about overrated, Bohemian Rhapsody was highly rated by fans. Just didn't deserve it. First of all, the main problem, the story. The movie plays out like a giant music video going through a legit Queen Wikipedia page. It dumbs down Freddie Mercury's character. They water down his sexuality to fit the PG-13 rating. They just kind of explained it like, oh, he's with a girl, and then he's with a guy. Like, they didn't really delve into that. They rewrote history. And so biopics sometimes do have to change elements, but it usually connects with the emotional narrative of the story. And that being said, they absolutely slandered Freddie Mercury's character, I believe. The AIDS diagnosis happened almost 4 years, 1 year after Live Aid. They found out 4 years after Live Aid. And they made Freddie Mercury seem like the bad guy for going solo, when in fact all of them went solo. And they all did that. None of them cared about Freddie doing it because they were all doing it. Then let's get down to filmmaking. The editing is some of the shittiest editing I've ever seen. The scene with John Reed where they meet him, there are 60 cuts in that scene, an average of 1.8 seconds per cut. That's less than a Transformers movie. To start off, secondly, they removed the director halfway through, so it's a combination of two tones. Bryan Singer's also a pedophile, so there's that. And here's all the awards it's won. Best Drama at the Golden Globes, over Black Klansman and A Star is Born. It also won the best film editing at the Oscars. Do I need to say more? Like, that's it.
Before you go, Walker, Joe just jumped from the top rope there and dropped the biggest middle finger I've ever seen. I don't know.
Atomic elbow. Okay, Walker. A Quiet Place.
Okay, so my most overrated and can I say the shitty word shitty on this podcast?
You
Dropped
said
an
it.
F-bomb in the last one. So
Okay, the shittiest movie I've ever seen and biggest disappointment, which was not not hard at all to come up with, was A Quiet Place. It's not at all what I was expecting. It was disappointing that it wasn't even as creative as like the concept could have been fully developed as. They made many stupid and unnecessary mistakes. The dad didn't have to scream. He could have just thrown a rock or a pebble or just made some other noise. He screamed. He killed himself for no reason. Why? Drama? I don't know. Why did they nail the stairs upwards from below? Emily Blunt steps on a nail on the stairs. That's pointed upwards. The only way you could achieve that is if you nailed the stair from down below. For drama? No, it was only done for drama. There is no creative shot composition. Why weren't they already living in the soundproof bunker? They already have it like 3/4 of the way built, almost completed, but they decided to live on the outside. It's stupid. It's so stupid. How did Emily Blunt give birth so quietly? She was breathing pretty loudly, and if a snap of a twig can set these things off, then God damn it, they're going to be in that bathroom eating that baby and Emily Blunt alive. The monster looked like garbage. It should have been practical effects. Why didn't the child just throw the stupid toy? He was just a plot point. The child was a plot point, and I hate when people treat children like they're stupid in movies because they're not. Children are smart. Children are smart, goddammit. He's not going to just hold on to the toy. He's not the deaf child. He will throw the toy, okay? He can hear that the toy's going off. He's not speaking. He knows that noise is bad. So clearly, he can understand noise bad, throw toy. Also, didn't they just live by the waterfall? Because clearly they established early on, it's not a problem, we can talk by the waterfall. We can make noise. But they choose to live in the middle of a country with no other noise.
Oh my God.
I think that's the spiciest take.
I'm so shook.
I've never
hate
seen
A Quiet Place.
I have never heard those arguments against A Quiet Place, and it just opened my eyes so much to that. Why would they build the stairs from the bottom?
Okay,
Why?
but thinking about it, if a nail probably fell from somewhere.
And stuck perfectly?
It was nailed upwards.
It was nailed upwards.
Well, they're dumb.
Okay, yeah. That was great, but yeah, argue against.
Okay, first of all, I kind of hinted. I saw that you maybe implied a deaf child was dumber than the other one, so I just want to put that out there.
That's not
but
at
anyway,
all. Okay,
now back
I'm sorry,
to the
mister.
argument. A
My
lot of
director
your
is a
argument-
pedophile. That
a
does
lot-
not make your
a
movie
lot-
bad.
A lot of your argument.
Just because the director. Okay,
Go to the
I'm not
movies. Go to
advocating
the
for-
movie.
A lot of
Go
your
to the movie.
arguments had to do with story.
Okay.
There's more to movie than story.
Okay.
And so I thought it really built suspense very well throughout the whole movie.
See-
it functioned as a different horror movie we hadn't seen before.
See, I felt like I wanted it to be a different horror movie like we had never seen before, but instead it ended up being your shitty run-of-the-mill, regular blockbuster horror film that Blumhouse would produce, almost as bad as Ma. And
You're
I
saying
hate
it's-
Ma. I hate Ma.
It's 10 times better than Ma or
It's-
The Invisible Woman.
It's
or Man.
garbage. I would watch The Invisible Man a million times before I watched A Quiet Place.
I don't know what
I would
to say
watch
to that.
Bohemian Rhapsody and literally I would
Shitty
watch it a
editing.
million times. The soundtrack is good. That's all they have. The soundtrack is good.
The
There's
performances
nothing
are
good about.
good.
There's nothing redeeming about A Quiet
The
Place other than
performances
John
are
Krasinski.
great.
And if you want John Krasinski, then you will watch The Office. You will watch The Office and you watch Pam
Okay.
and Jim fall in love.
Okay, the performances are good in A Quiet Place.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
They make the characters out
The
to be
story,
so
you're
stupid.
pointing out
And they
points of
hold-
the story.
They hold the audience's hand the entire freaking time. You know, whenever they go down to the basement and they see audio, what is it? It's sound. But we already know this. All
Okay.
these things are baited for the audience.
Again, the story.
No.
That's
We're
built
talking
into the
about most
story.
overrated movie. That's a part of the movie, Joe.
Yeah, but that's only one part as compared to I had all these different
There
points.
are garbage
The editing
shot
of Bohemian
compositions.
Rhapsody is worse than anything from A Quiet Place.
The editing from A Quiet Place is boring. And I think that's
But
more
bad versus boring.
I think bad editing is more tolerable to watch because it's funny over watching boring editing. It's so vanilla. I feel like you're pouring ranch dressing
but you
all
notice
over
bad
my
editing.
vanilla ice cream.
You notice
it's
bad editing.
disgusting.
You notice bad editing.
But I would
you
rather
don't
watch
notice
bad
boring
editing because it's funny.
sometimes.
You ever see The Room?
Spicy.
Oh my God.
Okay. Walker. Okay.
I don't even know what to say.
I've never heard this take before, and I like it. But you kind of fell in the same hole that I fell into as well.
Damn it.
You just argued why your movie was bad and not overrated, while Joe pointed out the Oscars it won, or not the Oscars, but like the
did win an Oscar, yeah.
Golden Globes it won, and everyone's saying it's one of the best biopics. So I'm gonna give it to Joe. I think by overrated, I'm giving it to Joe.
If I would have had
Yes.
a couple more seconds.
Yeah, I feel like just by the definition of overrated movie, I think Bohemian takes it.
Okay.
Walker, that was
Damn.
literally the best argument I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
If
Very
I was going
passionate, but
just off
yeah.
of passion, I'd give it to you. But like you guys said, like it is come down to overrated. So maybe it is. I'd agree. It's the worst movie.
The reason I hate it so much
Worst
is
movie of the two.
I went and saw it with friends, and everyone at school shat on me for weeks because I hated the movie because there were so many problems with it, and everyone was telling me, "No, this is really good." In fact, they took me to see it a second time to try to change my mind,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
wasn't good.
If you would have pointed out a little more that like everyone does love the movie and it's getting the second one and everything like that, I would have been more on your side. But you just went more just.
I love the
You
Quiet
were
Place.
coming at me like.
I loved it.
Yeah,
Thank you. I
Well,
loved it.
yeah. I think it could have been better for sure. I don't think it was the best. I liked it though.
I got nervous when you
I
said
do-
Bohemian
I do-
Rhapsody.
Really?
Bohemian Rhapsody is not as good as Rocket Man.
Well, 100%.
100% not.
But we do have to give props to Rami Malek. I think.
Oh,
he
I
did
didn't
excellent.
mention that, but yeah, taking away his performance from
Yeah.
the movie because he was good.
Yes.
Then they did
Yeah,
kind
they
of mess up the
overshadowed
story.
things. I feel like the rating was wrong for that movie.
It was legit. It felt like a Queen movie because, like, rather than a Freddie Mercury
Yes.
movie because they wanted to screw him over because
Yeah.
he was dead.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
fair.
So it's tied 2-2.
We made it to the iconic question.
Oh God,
That was so much rage. Freaked me out.
Okay, so
I'm like shaking.
Radiating.
yeah.
I need sparkling.
My rage knows no
water,
bounds.
man.
Wait for a red ring. Just go down.
Okay, so for our final question here, we're kind of switching it up. As Zach pointed out in the intros, both of you guys are filmmakers. Both of you guys recently released short films. Joe with
is
Slayer
true.
and Nightmare, and then Walker with Diagnostic. I've seen both of them. I enjoy both of them. So we are asking, what is the better movie, Slayer or Diagnostic? And we're doing this backwards, right? So yeah. Walker, your movie is Diagnostic, and you're going to argue why Slayer is better than your own movie. And Joe, vice versa. So, obviously, yeah. Walker, you have Slayer. Joe, you have Diagnostic. And I believe we are starting with Walker this time.
No.
Flip the coin.
coin.
Okay.
Hold on.
Hopefully Siri doesn't screw us over.
Surrey, flip a coin.
Oh, whoa.
Oh,
We know.
whoever said.
Walker, heads or tails?
Tails.
Okay. Let's flip it again.
Tails never fails.
Flip a coin.
Okay.
Are we
So,
doing a rebuttal afterwards too?
yep.
Okay.
It's like same argument. Okay. So, you want to go first or second?
I want to go first.
Okay, first. Okay. Walker. Slayer. Why is it better?
I can tell you exactly why Slayer is better, Adam, because I was there for the entire filming process. Okay, first off, it ties in with my favorite film franchise, and it has my favorite filmmaker, Joe Garcia. Just to say that it is inspiring to other filmmakers working with no budget is an understatement. The intro song was arranged by the director, not originally written, but arranged, which takes a lot of talent to arrange something like that because I was in choir and we never learned how to do any of that, so I think that's pretty impressive. There was an incredibly strong female lead who came out of the dark. This is her debut. She was the major appeal of the film, Tristan Bixby. Her performance was not only through the writing, but visually presents serious growth that the audience can root for and find themselves upset when she doesn't make it out fully alive. The use/theme of purple throughout, which was a nice stylistic choice reminiscent of the 80s aesthetic it was chasing after. The sets were well thought out and pieced together with local resources. It was very interesting and fun. I really like the musical shot composition after Tristan Bixby leaves the trap room. I mean, I love the trap room in general. I like the sliding door, the secret door. I thought that was really creative. Again, the places you found to film this were like almost exactly what you could picture in your head whenever you're reading the script. And I think that's incredible that you were able to find that on a budget, let alone. This film was far more a team collaboration, and it shows. The score was very serviceable and did a great job. Again, I've told you before, Joe, there are certain tracks that I really like and I think are standouts. There are also tracks that don't stand out, and that's good because you don't want that to take away from the performance. The ending was very strong as well. I liked how it wasn't a totally satisfying ending in that both characters die, and even with like the little twist after the credits, that's incredibly creative, being able to tie that in with your first couple films. There isn't a dull moment where you aren't entertained. I love this goddamn film.
Okay, Joe.
Okay.
Diagnostic, written and directed by Walker Spaulding.
Okay, Diagnostic. What is there not to say about this short film? I mean, overall, I want to say super great, and it sets it off with the opening scene, my favorite part of the movie, and how one tragic circumstance can change somebody's life. I mean, you get this kid trying to take care of this girl. The brother thinks he's going to rape her, and so afterwards, his rage consumes him. He pushes him off the balcony, and that's it. He is now in a wheelchair, and that sets the whole movie in motion. Love that. And then the cinematography with this whole movie. I mean, the square aspect ratio choice was perfect for this. The lighting during the party, the lighting, pretty much the lighting throughout. It just impressed me so much. The score, the synth. I love the synth aspect. It fills you with dread at times when you're looking into the phonograph. Like, that's some deep shit. Like, that speaks to me. And also, I love how it's, you can't place it in one specific genre. You know, it's, I don't know, it's a drama, it's a comedy, it's all of the above. And with that being said, the humor in it, you know, the whole bit where it's like, Walker, oh, ha, 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 because he's in a wheelchair. Can you stand for anything? Like the rudest barista ever just like turns over. She's like, can you stand for anything? And then screaming at his legs, you know, there's the whole bat boy thing. That was hilarious. And I appreciate this movie. It doesn't always directly tell you what's going on. You know, Slayer kind of, sometimes it's very direct in this way. Diagnostic is very focused on visuals and makes you fill in the blanks. It makes you feel bad and laugh at the same time. I'm talking whenever he has to crawl everywhere. Like, why didn't he get someone to help him? Like, he's crawling everywhere. The ending packs a huge punch because it takes you in an unexpected way. At least when I was watching it, I didn't expect it to do that and to him kill himself. And I don't know who that restroom stranger is, but I think in that brief moment, he was able to convey so much emotion in just that brief 2-second scene. I mean, Diagnostic is a definite improvement over Cave. It shows. It's impressive.
Okay. For this second argument here, you've both said why your movies are great, but I want to hear why the other movie is bad. Bad. They're both great. So why is it? Why is one better than the other? Okay. So yeah, we're starting back with Walker.
I think you underestimate how much I can smear my name. I can rub my name in the dirt. Okay? Okay, let's start off with this. My biggest problem with Diagnostic is that it sets up this really interesting, like, party scene, right? Mm-hmm. It blows its load way too fast. Boom! It's gone. Like, you have nothing going on for, like, the entire middle part of the movie. It's so dry. There's a little bit of humor, but honestly, the director, Walker Spaulding, could have done so much more with this. The visuals are good. I like the visuals. However, it's not interesting.
Oh.
When I watch the movie, I find myself looking at my phone or trying to, like, look at a book because I'm so goddamn bored.
Well, here's the thing. At least Diagnostic is original. Slayer, I mean, it's a ripoff of Saw. I mean, it's legit. In the original script, there was a pig mask. Movie. I mean, I don't know.
There's an interesting killer
complex. How did she get out of the trap room? The clues were all in the last 3 minutes. That was like perfect time, and she's like, I'll wait till the last 3 minutes and then get out.
Suspense. That is suspense. No, that is suspense in a film, okay? You don't understand how hard it was for the people filming that scene to get inside that trap room and film it. It was hot. I know. I was the killer in the film, okay?
Okay, well, also, Diagnostic is original, thoroughly original. Slayer is just, in a way, it may be considered an homage, but in a way, it's just a rehash. I mean, Diagnostic, the visuals make it. I mean, Slayer is there. There's rough cuts in some parts. You know,
Slayer-
the music, the sound. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I would agree that Slayer is homage. It's not a rehash. It is an homage because it takes this seriously interesting story that Tristan Bixby takes. And again, Tristan Bixby, such a phenomenal actor. I want her in one of my films. I'm trying to write a spot for her right now because she's so phenomenal. Because she does such a good job in your film, Joe.
But
okay.
but one performance. I mean, I don't know. Versus a wholly original concept, unique. It ties everything together in something we haven't seen
The
before.
character is written
Slayer,
to carry the
we've
story,
seen it
and
before.
we care about her. We care so much about this character
Again,
throughout the
character,
entire plot.
The entire movie.
Because she is the entire plot, but
This one is really
hated
tough.
I hated that so much.
Love that
I
one.
have no idea.
Oh, that was good.
I'm so nervous. I'm gonna barf.
Yeah. I'll
Just
start
for the
us
record, shitting on yourself is not good.
off.
This is. I
This
feel
is really tough.
like this is so close. Like I
can
don't.
go.
Okay, you can go.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, I mean, I have mine. I'm going to give my point to Walker. I love the argument of the strong female lead. And, you know, he's talking about, you know, how the group project and it shows. And I like that aspect of it. And it was very hot in that trap room. I was there. And then how you even name dropped yourself. I mean, that was pretty cool. So I'm going to give it to Walker.
You can go. I'll wait. Please don't tie it.
This is really hard, guys. I don't like this. This is a really hard question.
Wait, have you seen both films?
I have seen neither. So I'm going completely blind. I mean, I've seen obviously the first one, Layer, but heard great things about both. I will watch them eventually. We'll get there. You know, we're still in quarantine, so I really like both of your slandering against yourselves. You know, that's always fun to do. I really like Walker's take on the strong female lead. We love a strong female. Yeah, we love a strong female lead on take 2. I'm gonna have to give it to Walker.
Walker wins.
I'm so glad I didn't have to make a decision.
Well, yeah.
Oh. I have no clue. Like really, this was gonna end with me walking out and it just being a tie. If it had been a tie.
Getting ready for part 2 of this movie fight. Yeah.
This will be a rematch.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
These arguments were
They
excellent.
were just.
though.
It was
they
such
were
a weird argument.
Yeah.
And Walker, your passion in
Yeah.
these movies.
Yes,
It's so
definitely.
fun.
I told you there was going to be fire on this episode.
Okay. Okay, guys. So that is it. That was the 5th question. Walker wins by just a hand. I mean, just like a fingertip win there. 3-2 over Joe. You guys got any call-outs? Who do you want to see? I mean, obviously we're gonna get a rematch. So, anybody else you want to see?
Oh, absolutely. I want Spencer Davis in trivia that's not Star Wars.
Oh.
Ooh.
I need a win.
Yeah,
I need a win.
You're fighting against the champ.
It's not Star Wars.
My call out is going to be for the kid, Spencer Davis. I want to take the champ down now while he's like on his high horse because I think that'll be a more decimating fall for him.
Hey, let's make it a 2v1.
2v1.
Yeah.
Also, didn't you have another call out? Goosebumps trivia? I
Oh
recall?
yeah. Goosebumps trivia with Spencer's mom.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Heather
Stop
Davis.
it.
Heather Davis.
Heather Davis.
Heather.
I'm taking your house.
We want you on our show, Heather.
They did bet Spencer's house on this. No pressure, guys.
Okay. So
right,
there,
well,
there we go. Yeah.
Heather?
They want the champ. Okay. This has been Take 2, a movie podcast. I'm Adam Hoffman. Kenzie was with me. Spencer was with me. And then thank you to Walker and Joe for fighting. Great fight. Thank you for watching on YouTube. And watch our other ones while you're here. Thank you for watching.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching that video. For more content like that, make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to get all of your Take 2 news and updates.